So this is a 96 Skidoo MXZ 670, and the gauge package it came with was a tack and a speedo. It did not come with the temperature gauge. It just has the overheat light here. So what I'm going to do beside the tack there is install this temperature gauge. And then you can see it does fit right in there. I think from factory it would have gone on this side, but I don't want any obstruction. I don't think it would obstruct it too much with the little cowling here, but I'm going to put it on this side just for easier visibility. Basically what I'm going to do is just line it up with the bottom of this gauge. That'll get me a nice fit here. And on the back side, in this particular sled, there's nothing to worry about to drill a hole. It's a 2.5-inch hole. That's it there. Just got my hole saw, so just drill that out, and then the fun part of wiring it up. So these are the parts you need if you want to do this. The temp gauge, obviously, there's a gasket here that will go on the front side of the dash. Your dash will then be in here. This ring will then slip over from behind. This guy then goes on, pins it up against the dash. You got a washer and a nut. And then you do need the temperature sensor probe as well, which you'll install in the engine. Okay, so there's the hole drilled. And just do a little test fit here. The gauge is upside down there, but it's just for a quick test. So that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to clean that up and attach the gauge in from the back. So there it is from the back. So next thing we're going to do is take this brass piece here, and just like on these other gauges, you just want this lip here to be facing out. So you're just going to put that on like so, and then this piece here, which is going to hold it into place. Okay, so one problem I have is when I push this in, it looks like this gauge was made for a thicker dash because these pins aren't holding it up tight enough. So what I'm going to do, and that distance is almost a 1/4 inch or so. So on this piece here, I'm going to Dremel off that stuff, like these little extension flanges here, whatever you want to call them, and hopefully that'll give me enough to get that in there. If it doesn't, I'll just have to get another rubber washer or something on the other side, but that'll give me a lot of clearance rather than having to build it up with washers here. I'll just do that to start with. Okay, so those are out of the way. Not the prettiest, but should do the job. Okay, so that did help a bit, quite a bit actually, but it's not perfect. So what I'm going to do, just for the time being, until I find something better, is just wrap this, just some stranded wire. I don't know what gauge this is, but I'm just going to wrap that up in like so, and then pin it up in there, and that'll give me what I need. So, okay, so there we go. So that's installed. Those are nice and tight. And before you tighten it down, obviously you're going to want to make sure that you got it facing level and in the proper position. Okay, so wiring up this gauge, on the back side of it here, I have a 3-prong on this. Some are 4. My connector that's on the wiring harness was here. It looked like this. So obviously you can see those two aren't going to go together, so I have to splice them in. So I basically just pulled these out. There's a little tab on these you can push down and they come right out, or you can just snip the wires off, whatever you like. Here, same thing, just get those out of there or snip them off. So on the gauge, 2 black and yellows, 2 yellows, and a pink. On here we have a green, 2 yellows, black and yellow. So basically what we're going to do, black and yellow to black and yellow, yellow to yellow. Green we're not going to use. What we're going to do is, because we have the pink wire on our temperature sensor here, we don't have the green. If you do have a green coming up here, you can use the green wire, but I just have the pink. So on the back of the indicator light, I'm basically just going to unplug that pink, and that's going to go to my pink here. So these are a little short, so I've made up a little harness, and just put some quick connectors on that. So I'm gonna just cut these off, solder that harness on, put some connectors on this end, wire it up, and I'll show you it working. Okay, so I've got those harnesses soldered on to these connectors here. Just put them in loose now just to double check, make sure everything works. And once it does, I'll just tighten up this wiring harness. So after the gauge is installed, we have to remove the sensor here and replace it with our new one. So that is a 21 mil. So I'm just going to remove that and put the new one in. What I am going to do is on the new sensors, just use some of the yellow pipe tape on it. That'll just seal it up. Okay, so that's the old guy out and the new guy in, and wires connected back up. Obviously you're going to lose some coolant when you do this, so you're going to want to have, when you pop the old guy out, you're going to want to have that new guy ready so you can throw it right in. Probably not even a bad idea just to drain the coolant if you haven't done that, and do it that way. That way you're not contaminating that seal at all. So if that's, I'm gonna just have to keep my eye on that, just make sure that doesn't leak. I've done stuff like that before and really haven't had any issues. So if you do lose a lot and you need to top up your coolant, you can do that.